Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of All About Bridge Engineering. In my previous other episodes, I had discussed with you the practical applications of determinate structures like the simply supported beams and the cantilever structural form in bridges around us. So it's time that we move on to the practical applications of some indeterminate structural forms, which in today's case is actually a continuous structural form. And you must be seeing a typical span, a typical bridge just behind me. So very briefly, let me give you an overview of the same before I mention how the analysis theory of a continuous beam is actually applied in designing certain components of this bridge. So today I have with me a major bridge, but initial two spans. This is the span number 1, as you can see the abutment there, and its next span, which is the span number 2, are actually simply supported and are having one RCC T-beam plus deck slab type arrangement as far as the superstructure is concerned. And you can see these end cross beams are actually present both at the pier location as well as the abutment location, which I will bring in some more detail when I'll move just under the bridge. But from this view you can see that one intermediate cross beam is also present. So now let's go right under the bridge and see some clear picture of these components. So as you must be able to see that this superstructure is consisting of 3 RCC girders over which the deck slab is actually resting, and it is spanning this first component, that is this deck slab, is one of the components which is designed after analyzing it as a continuous beam supported on these girders at their respective locations. Sometimes, in fact most of the times, the deck slab is also overhanging from the outer girders. So actually this is a combination of what we say overhang plus continuous beam arrangements. If there had only been 2 girders, then this structure would be analyzed just like an overhanging beam we analyze during our structural analysis problems. So very briefly we will see how the deck slab is designed and what are the loads, how the deck slab is actually analyzed. So see, at these girder locations we model pin supports, and a line element of the deck basically resembles the deck. Over this deck we basically do apply the loads of superimposed dead load, which actually are in most of the cases the wearing coat only, and also the dead load of the deck slab is also applied in UDL form. And how we do so? We simply consider the thickness of that deck as well as the thickness of the wearing coat and multiply them with their respective unit weights, and considering per meter span analysis we design this deck slab spanning just like a one-way slab, because if you will see, the spacing between the girders is very less, and even if there are cross beams and intermediate cross beams, the ratio of the longer span to the shorter span is more than 2. So the deck slab is more or less designed as a single line element subjected to one-way slab action. And the only difficulty in which a fresher may not be able to judge right by looking at this structural arrangement is how the live load will be positioned when designing a deck slab. So this is something that has to be discussed in detail. Normally the deck slab is basically the inner portions, that is the span between the girders, is normally designed by considering 70R bogie, because it is having the maximum axial load and it is varied in transverse directions, as you can see through the sketched arrow. Accordingly the span moment is derived. However, as I mentioned, that sometimes the deck slab is also extended from the outer girder, as in this case. So this is basically designed by placing class A vehicle loading closest to the crash barriers as indicated by IRC 6. So you see the first component, which is actually designed by applying the theory of continuous beam systems, is the deck slab over RCC T beam type or even PSC T beam type structures. Another component which is designed as a continuous beam or is analyzed by using the theory of continuous beams is the cross beams as well as the intermediate cross beams. So in this structure we have 3 cross beams, 2 at the ends. This is the abutment face. So the cross beams are also assumed to be rested upon the individual girders. However, its design is little critical and complex when compared with the deck slab because there are 2 conditions for which the cross beams have to be checked. The first condition is the final condition, that is the service condition, in which the structure is ready to perform its intended purpose, it's ready to take the intended traffic, and in that case the cross beam is basically designed for its own self-weight as well as for all the reactions that the superstructure may be subjected to. But since at that point the points of support for the cross beams are actually the girders, so due to superimposed dead loads or the self-weight of the deck slab, much difference is not generated in the moments of the cross beams because they straight away follow the load path right below the girders, through the bearings, and finally through the abutment to the foundings. However, the cross beams for service condition are checked and designed for the variation of live load in the transverse direction, as you can see, and as well as for its own self-weight. So this was condition number 1. Another condition for which the cross beams are checked, now let's focus on this side of the cross beam, are basically the jacking condition. Now what is the jacking condition? You see that these girders are rested on bearings, and every bearing has a specific life, and due to wear and tear, due to maintenance issues, these bearings have to be replaced after a certain portion of time. So during that case, how will you lift the entire superstructure? You have to place certain jacks. These jacks are placed normally at a distance of like 700 to 800 mm from the bearing edge, and a jacking analysis for the end cross beams is also done. So based on that, the hogging moment or the top reinforcement of the cross beams is basically generated, and the cross beam is designed for those forces, and at that time live load will not be present because the whole superstructure would be jacked up. So normally the superimposed dead loads and the dead load self-weight of the deck slab as well as the girders act at their respective positions, that is at the bearing locations, and the cross beam is checked for the same. So this was a very brief overview of an entire bridge superstructure system, in which I showed you that this analysis theory of continuous beams is actually applied in designing deck slab as well as the cross beams in a superstructure containing beam and deck slab type arrangement. So that is all in this episode. I'll see you in another episode with some more details on certain other aspects of the entire bridge.